In this session, we're going to quickly wrap up the remaining animations and extra effects to finalize the scene for this module. If you're following along with the files from 2 sessions ago, you may need to download the new material provided for this session. That's because the speech bubble and the AI voice file were moved to a separate download, mainly to avoid overwhelming the earlier project file, which was already packed with resources. If you're someone who created your own AI-generated voice and script, keep in mind that you might need to tweak the timing and spacing of the avatar's movement and the flower growth animation to sync everything properly with your audio. Let's start by taking a look at what we're trying to achieve. Head to slide 3 and hit play. We'll do a quick walkthrough of the full animation sequence to see what we need to add. The road has been long and challenging, and just like the towering mountains behind me, we have faced many ups and downs. Yet, every rainstorm we endured brought the sun on the horizon, giving the seeds we've planted along the way the freedom to grow. Heading back to slide 1, you'll see that I've already placed all the remaining elements we need to complete the scene. The AI-generated voice file, the avatar with a speech bubble, a sound icon, and finally, the 3 animated flowers. If you play the slide, you'll also notice everything is already timed and animated to behave exactly as we want, making this more of a demonstration than a technical tutorial. This is because there's nothing fundamentally new that we are learning here that we haven't already covered in the previous session, so for the sake of convenience, I've set it all up for you. The road has been long and challenging, and just like the towering mountains behind me, we have faced many ups and downs. Yet, every rainstorm we endured brought the sun on the horizon, giving the seeds we've planted along the way the freedom to grow. You could simply copy and paste these elements into slide 2 and call it a day. However, before we do that, let's take a quick look at the selection pane. There's nothing out of the ordinary here, except for one small detail. You'll notice there are 2 sound icons. The first one at the top is the actual AI-generated voice file that we want to play. The second one, although it could technically be used, is just a duplicated sound element. I didn't set it to play or hide it during the show. It's only there as a visual element, an icon that follows the avatar to show that sound is playing. This was just to demonstrate that sound icons can also serve as animated design elements, not just audio triggers. Other than that, there's nothing unusual to note, except for one small detail in the animation pane. If you take a look there, you'll see that the motion path is set to move down rather than to the right, although the avatar still moves to the right. I did this intentionally to show that motion paths are flexible. You can drag the green and red dots, start and end points, to customize the path in any direction, regardless of the default animation behavior you selected. Aside from that, everything is pretty standard. A simple fade in and fade out for the speech bubble and sound icon, a motion path for both to follow the avatar, and the same flower we animated in a previous module, just reused here and timed to align with the speech. That means we can essentially just copy and paste everything into slide 2, and it should work seamlessly. But before we do that, there's one last thing I want to quickly touch on, just in case you're unfamiliar with how to insert a speech bubble. To add one, go to the Insert tab, then Shapes, and scroll down to the Callout section. You'll find several speech bubble options there. Once you've placed it on the slide, you add text inside it, just like any other shape. Here's a useful trick. After selecting the speech bubble, go to Edit Shape under the Shape Format tab. From there, you can choose a completely different shape if you want to switch it out. This gives you more creative freedom. I may have mentioned this earlier in the course, but just in case you have forgotten, I'll mention it again. as I think it's one of those small touches worth remembering. If you're following along, go ahead and head to slide 2 and delete the avatar and flower elements currently on that slide. We're going to replace them with the updated versions that are already animated and timed properly. Once you've deleted them, jump over to slide 1. Select everything, including the avatar, speech bubble, sound icon, flowers, and audio, and copy it. Then, return to slide 2 and paste it all in. Everything should land in the correct place and be ready to go with all animations intact. We still need to tidy things up in the selection pane to keep everything organized and properly layered. Start by collapsing the flower groups. Click the little arrow next to each flower group name to close them up for a cleaner view. Then, drag each of the flower groups down in the Z position, placing them below the bushes but above the dirt. Go ahead and play the slide. Because we pasted everything in at once, the animations might have shifted slightly out of order. At least they did for me. To fix that, open the animation pane and locate the play animation for the AI voice. Drag it to the very top of the list to ensure it triggers first when the slide starts. That should resolve the issue. But if you're still experiencing any problems with timing or animation sequencing, you can use slide 3 as a reference to copy the correct animation order from. Let's play the slide one last time and check everything. The road has been long and challenging, and just like the towering mountains behind me, we have faced many ups and downs. Yet, every rainstorm we endured brought the sun on the horizon, giving the seeds we've planted along the way the freedom to grow. You can now go ahead and delete the other slides as we are done with this module. See you in the next and final module of the course. You're almost there.